start with a little bit of an intro and getting to know each other. So hello, my name is Kylie. I'm the intern Whatcom Million Trees project, and I have removed ivy. So I'm going to go around, do some names of the removed ivy here before. You can share a fun fact about yourself if you'd like.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm not a youth, but I have worked on the trees up here that are right along Boulevard, so I'm familiar with this area.
I'm Melissa. I removed ivy with the project last weekend, and my partner and I are here from out of town in Chicago.
So how'd you know about this?
Our buddy Michael.
Michael's our friend.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Mickey. I have removed ivy before.
We have not removed ivy.
I'm Jim. I have removed ivy.
I'm May, and I love removing all the ivies from this area.
And she's fantastic at it too. And I'm Tammy. I've removed ivy before.
That means we have some pretty steep hills. So as we're moving ivy, please be careful and watch where you're stepping. Especially with ivy, you can't always tell how even the ground is. I've tripped over some extra vines or any roots that I have not seen because I thought I knew the ground pretty well. So please be careful with that. And as you're going around, make sure you listen for things like hornets. You can see them frequently, but sometimes trying to hear them out is the best way to make sure that you're not walking into a nest. They do like to nest in the ground sometimes. It can be a little unexpected. Just keep an eye out for that. If it's too steep or there's some of the bees or what are they called? Hornets, then go to a different tree. It's okay. There's a bunch of trees that need our help, and we don't really need to have everyone on every tree. We're going to make some progress either way.
Just generally what we're going to do today as a strategy is that those of you who have removed ivy with us before, after we do kind of the name intro and the land acknowledgement, then if you feel like it, you can head off and just dig right in because you've heard our spiel about ivy before. Those of you that are new, we'll give you a more complete intro and show you step by step how to remove ivy, and also talk about all the different ivy initiatives we're doing in the area. And if you haven't signed the waiver form yet, now's the time to do it. And dense, and so it becomes like a giant wind sail. And so what typically happens is that in a windstorm, the top of the tree will snap off, and then you're just left with a dead snag that's no longer doing all the carbon capture and bioservices and other benefits that trees do. Trees are just so multifaceted in the things they do for our community and for wildlife and for the earth. So that's what English ivy does. There's like 64 varieties of ivy, English ivy. And actually, some studies in the Pacific Northwest have shown that a good portion of the ivy we have here is actually Atlantic Boston ivy, which is a different ivy. But it's all intermixed now. It didn't used to be here in this region. It's in the southeast. That was initially brought in, and now it's here in the Pacific Northwest along the coast. So, but it's essentially any ivy that's climbing a tree is the one you want to remove. So that you don't have to worry about trying to ID the ivy very much. And of course, on the ground, it outcompetes everything on the ground as well. So although our focus is on the trees in this first wave of ivy removal, on the ground, it's also not good news either. It creates a monoculture on the ground, doesn't allow any biodiversity of plants or habitat support at a ground level. So it's just bad news all the way around. So we're trying to do multiple things. Work parties are one piece, but we got these other pieces. The other piece, one other piece, for example, is we're mapping all the ivy tree locations that we can find in the community. And we're starting to reach that out further out into the county now as well. So, so by mapping it, we can then know where to have work parties like this. We can know where we have had work parties so that we can come back in a later wave and recheck those sites and just keep on top of it, because we're not going to ever remove all the ground ivy that's around. We can clear all the trees, but you know, there's still going to be ivy. And so we have to keep an eye on it. So we see this as a process, not a one-step kind of thing. This is a process over many, many years where we'll periodically be going back to where these trees are to check and to remove further from the trees. So the first wave is what you're doing today, of removing it from the trees. That's the most urgent piece because, like I said earlier, it's on its way to climbing up into the canopy. Another piece, and if you see ivy somewhere, that you want to let us know about, a cluster of trees somewhere, maybe it's in private property or public property, you can reach out to us on our website and just tell us the location. It's on XYZ street, near this address or that kind of thing, and I see approximately 10 trees here with ivy. Just let us know and we'll add it into our database. In fact, Tammy's been doing a lot of that herself, actually. She's in charge of much of that entry. And so that's the mapping piece. Another big piece is approaching local nurseries. Believe it or not, ivy is still sold in nurseries, statewide, nationally as well, pretty much nationally. And that's a problem. So we have been using a carrot approach with nurseries of saying to them, hey, if you switch out from not selling English ivy anymore, we will celebrate you and bring business to you through the community knowing you're making a good choice. So that's our first step. We've had several nurseries switch locally because of that. The first one in particular was Garden Spot. As soon as we identified the issue to them, they said, yep, we're totally on board with that, and we will no longer order or sell English ivy. Several others have gone that way. We're still working on some of the box store nursery locations and a few others in town, but we're getting there. Only a couple have said, no, we still want to sell English ivy because we think, it's a freedom of choice issue. So there's another step we can do that we're getting prepared for. And that is, it turns out that there's a Washington State board that once a year meets to decide what's on the nursery no-sell list. And so there's a number of invasives that are on that list, but not English ivy so far. And so we have a petition on our website, of which we have the QR code and web address right there if you want to go right to the petition, or you can go on our website and find it as well just by going to whatcommilliontrees.org. And if you sign the petition, we would be most grateful. We're building up signatures on that. We've just kind of started. We've got about 100 signatures so far. We aim to have several thousand by the time we take that forward to Olympia early next year. So that's another step. And so we're trying to weave all these things together as a way to really make a significant dent in the ivy. Again, it's not about removing every single piece of ivy because that's unrealistic, but if we can at least save the trees with it and begin to bring back some of the biodiversity and the ground cover around the trees, that would be a really great thing.